parsha about the Eved Ivri, the Jewish slave who sold into slavery either because he had stolen and he's not able to repay the person who victimized him, and he sold for the value of the theft. And the Torah tells us that he sold for a period of 6 years. In the 7th year, he goes out free. What happens after 6 years? And not only that, the master is permitted to give him a shifcha Canaanite, a Canaanite woman who's not normally permitted to a Jew, for the sake of what? Of siring children as a breeder. What happens when 6 years come? He goes out, he's free. But what happens if you should say to the Bezdin, who originally had sold him to slavery, Ahavti es ishti, es adoni es ishti es bonai. I love my master, I love my wife, although halachically she's not his wife. I love my children, although halachically there's no pedigree. So the Torah tells us, Lo eitzei chofshi, and he says, I'm not willing to go out. I don't want to be freed. V'yigishu adonav elo Elohim, v'yigishu el adeles elo mzuzo, v'rotza adonav es oznom b'matzeya v'advil v'adol olam. So as a result, the Bezdin instructs the master, he takes an awl and he perforates the cartilage of his right ear, and he's a slave forever. And Rashi says, Chazal, what does the meaning of slave forever? He's a slave until Yovel, till the Jubilee year. When the Jubilee year comes, he's emancipated and he returns to his family. Seemingly, if the Torah says avodah la'olam, la'olam means forever. So if the Torah only means until Yovel, the Torah says va'avodu ad Yovel. What does the Torah say ad olam? Forever. He's forever a slave. Now, why does the Torah tell? There's another question. What is the significance or the symbolism of perforating the cartilage of his right ear? So the Gemara tells us in Kedushin, which Rashi cites Chazal, that Ozen zu sheshama b'Sinai, the ear that heard at Sinai, lo tignov, you should not steal, and you went and stole. So evidently there's some kind of defect in this ear. To indicate the defect, you put a hole through the ear. Or the ear that heard at Sinai, avodahem, you are my servants, which the inference is lo avodim el avodim. You should not be servants of my subjects, which it was not fully processed and comprehended. It's defective, put a hole through the ear. But if that's the case, when he sold into slavery, he should have that perforation made, either because he's being sold as a slave, or because he stole. Why only after 6 years, when he says, "Ohavti es adoni, yisishti vonai," when he lo eitzei lachovshi, I don't want to be free. Only then do we perforate his ear. So we have two questions: why does it say la'olam forever, and why do we only perforate his ear later when he doesn't want to go out, and not initially? There's a Ramchal in Derech Hashem. He speaks about the idea, the concept of Shmir Shabbos. We have cycles. We have 6 ordinary days. The 7th day is Shabbos L'Hashem Elokecho, sanctified, it's holy for Hashem. So he asks a question: why do we, to commemorate Maaseh Bereshis, the day of creation, day of rest, we should have not necessarily cycles of 6 and 7, but we should have many ordinary days, and then we should commemorate Shabbos. Why does it always have to be? We don't go beyond 6. Always the 7th day is always Shabbos. You could say because that's to really, this was the order of creation. After 6 days it was 7th day. Then you could say because the 7th day happened to follow the 6th day. But to commemorate it, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu said it? The 7th day always has to be Shabbos L'Hashem, a day of Me'ir Olam Haba, a day of that level of sanctity, and only then do we repeat the cycle of ordinary and again day of Kedusha. So he explains the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world. A person is in the state of choice. Bechira. Every one of us has choice. And there has to be a balance. If a person would be exposed to the mundane beyond a certain point, he's impacted negatively to a point of no return almost. So therefore, every 6 days of being exposed, of being involved in the mundane, in the whole, you have to be reconnected, re-spiritualized, and only as a result of that re-spiritualization do you have the balance, do you have the spiritual equilibrium to continue for another week. And the cycle continuously repeats itself. But what would be if chas v'sholom, a person would go beyond 6, then the being involved in the ordinary, the mundane, would impact on his spirituality that he would not be able to recover. It's only the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the person and the world, maximally you could be exposed to 6. And that's similarly we find by Shemitah. 6 years we work out fields. The 7th year, Shabbos L'Hashem, also the same idea. You take out off the year for what? As the commentators explain, for meditation and for studying Torah. Again, it's a spiritualization of the person to reinvigorate him, invigorate him in Kedusha, that he should be able to have the spiritual wherewithal to continue on, to have that balance. But the way the world is set, it's 6, 7, those are the cycles, 6 and 7. So if that's the case, if initially he sold for 6 years, he's not avodah l'olam. The defect is not permanent in him. Your essence is not eved. You haven't become an eved. So therefore, when do we perforate his ear? If he wants to go beyond the 6 and to be the slave into the 7th, now you're at a point of no return. Even if you'll be freed at the time of the Jubilee year, factually, you have avodah l'olam. That negative impact of being exposed, having amassed it for more than 6 years, now it becomes a permanent imprint that you become a slave. Now that you become a slave, even though you're freed, you're emancipated later, it has no relevance to this. This is avodah l'olam. And therefore, as a result of that, only when he says, Ohavti es Adoni ishti vonai, only then is it, because now it's truly defective, it becomes a defective spiritual being, only then do we perforate his ear.